Hey guys, Wonderboat here with the Mag 1 Community Clinic. Looking at the packs, I think I'm feeling a nice aerial pack here. With steel balls, you have a really nice tank line for a lot of those squishy air units. Massive health pool as well. And with Abyss in the picture, there's a lot of strong carry options here. So with the ball pack, of course, we are looking to probably go aggro. Let's see what we're up against though. We're up against a Farseer spec with a really defensive set of units. Technically, he could play this aggro or defense, but you usually should expect defense. So I'm probably going to be going for Chaff Clear here. If I want to go for Wraiths, though, I could buy Crawlers here. And since I'm aerial spec, I think I've talked myself into it. So we're going to buy 2 Crawlers here. And we want very forward Chaff placement here. So I'm just going to do a few small adjustments. These are really minor details. And then we're looking for Wraith holes, right? So what I'm going to do is move this down 10 meters. And I'm going to explain that in just a moment here. Yeah, we can lock that in. So what I've done is I've left 10 meters and then plus 20 meters unlocks after round 1 finishes, leaving exactly 30 meters, which is the space of a Wraith. And I really like to have a Wraith directly on the corner, as it is a short range unit, and so I value it being as close to the battle as possible. And then if you need to defend yourself, you can just put Crawlers on the shallow flanks there, and then your Wraith is pretty safe. Pretty common way to play Wraith on aggro here. So my opponent went for Hounds, so he's just got a bunch of tanky units. No true Chaff yet. So this means that my Wraith is not, fantastic, since Wraith is primarily good at killing Crawlers and Fangs. But honestly, I still think it's pretty efficient. Of course, I absolutely must buy Chaff Clear, given I have none. So I'm pretty hard locked into a Wraith line here. The only thing that could dissuade me would be like a unit reinforcement or a really tempting item, which is expensive, so yeah, we'll see. I do expect my opponent will add Chaff here. Let's see what we get. So redeployment on aggro is very strong. I can switch sides and all that. And these cards early are okay, but not fantastic. So I'm going to go for the skip here. Redeployment would kind of mess with my turn. And I kind of value getting this off the ground. So we're going to go for that Wraith. You can see here's the 30 meters I was talking about. So sometimes you have to do that 20 meter math where round 1's different than round 2. And I mean, my tower on the right is safe. He's got some kind of useless material here. Eventually, we will fortify this because these units will charge on down. Unless I want to breadcrumb by putting a unit here, which causes these units to run to here, which keeps my tower safe. So those are the things I'm thinking about. Another note about Wraith is that you typically want Crawlers instead of Fangs. And the reason being is that Wraith is really vulnerable to Marksmans and Phoenixes. And so you want units with short range, aka like, melee or steel balls. So like if you start with 3 Fangs, I don't recommend going into Wraiths when you're aggressing into a defender. So my opponent went for 2 Phantom Rays, which means he, skipped all those choices, I reckon, to be able to afford that. And I think that this matchup between Phantoms and Wraiths, both units are kind of good against each other to some extent. Like, as long as your Wraith doesn't get locked on, you're totally fine. And if you out-level them, like, absolutely no issue at all. And the fact that he still hasn't gone for more Chaff is possibly a mistake from him. Of course, Chaff is, completely OP, and you certainly want to get it going at some part of the game. I tend to like getting the Chaff earlier than later, since it lets you be more flexible, reacting to sort of mid-game tempo and, the unit drops and all that. So I'm pretty happy with this round. Getting the Wraith half of a level is pretty good. 2 ball levels as well. Wow. Definitely very nice. So the unit reinforcements on round 3, pretty high level stuff. I think he's really interested in these 2 sniper units here, since the Wraith poses quite a big threat. Now, I'm also threatening a really strong ground game here with the balls. So bearing all of that in mind, I think he's probably most likely going to take Phoenix or Badger, as those are the best against the balls. And then for myself, I mean, I don't have a sniper unit, right? Like, I can't rely upon my steel balls, and Wraiths are not that good at DPS. I do think everything is viable, but I think snipers are the way to go. So I'll take the Phoenix. Phoenixes on aggro are better than marksmen, pretty much because of their speed. Like, there are other redeeming qualities of them that are better, like the charge shot DPS, for example. But honestly, it's all about the speed on aggro. So we'll take the ball levels. I like ball levels because it's just good HP per cost, right? Levels are very efficient. We'll take this level that I talked about. This is very common in asymmetrical pushes where you're sort of giving up one side. It's just really efficient HP. And of course, the debuff timer being slower, or quicker rather, is pretty good. Now the question is, what do I go into? Do I need more Phoenixes? Given that he has very little chaff, like aka none for now, we can actually buy more sniper units, right? Like, they should be high value. And yeah, we'll just get more crawlers. All right, he has shown his hand. So he took the Fire Badger, which allows igniting oil, and then he took oil from the Phantom Rays. So this is an interesting strategy. There is many different schools of thoughts on how to handle this, and I'll go over some of them that I consider to be best. So first of all, you can intercept the missiles. For those who don't know, this actually is a missile, the sticky oil bomb, and so is the Phantom Rays attack itself, right? So if you get enough interception, sort of the whole strategy is negated. I consider that to be more of a volatile, like less safe strategy, but it's worth pointing out. Another thing you can do is be in the sky, which I am already in. That way, you know, you can't get burned and all of that. And then the final thing I want to mention is armor, because fire actually does 70 damage every 0.2 seconds, which means, you know, armor reducing 60 per level means you're negating most of it. So if I just armor my steel balls, I don't have to worry about the fire too much. I guess the final thing to mention is fire extinguisher on the hounds. So with that out of the way, those are the 4 options I will be thinking about. These cards here, speed is just absolutely fantastic on aggro. Yeah, there's really not much to think about. I don't really like the giant card there since I would have to unlock one. And so yeah, let me think how I want to handle this air here. He gets a Farseer. He leveled the tower. My balls have, and my Phoenix have good tower pressure though, so I'm not too stressed about getting the tower. I think I will go into the ball line. So we're going to take the armor. And I think I will start kind of going crazy. Let's just start surrounding him. We have speed, of course. The speed card that we just picked up. And that's going to be really valuable here. I'll actually take temp speed. I think you can take temp speed pretty early on aggro. It's only 50. And the power it represents is big. So he's gone into charge shot Phoenixes. I think this is a really strong line into my steel balls. He now 2-shots them despite them being level 2. And my Wraith is also really vulnerable. So basically he has really high DPS. And so what's the counter against high DPS? Well, usually it's chaff, right? But how do I go chaff when he's got fire on the ground, right? It's a really tricky situation. So I could go, for example, into Wasps, right? Because they're chaff that's in the sky. They can't be burned. I'm aerial specialist. I unlock them for free. So certainly thinking about that. Unit drops around 5. That's the earliest you can get them on the second wave. Unfortunately, nothing like super good against his strategy. But thankfully, you know, there's a nice sell option here. It's the most you can make, and it only takes 2 turns to sell. You know, he can do some tower pressure here with some of those other drops, but honestly, he's probably just taking like scorpions or selling. So yeah, I think, did he level the tower again? He did. Wow, okay. So he's just going to play behind the tower and use it as a tank. It's a very strong strategy. You can see his tower here is completely open. And so I think it is time to move to the other side. And we're going to do that with probably like, you know, like ball as my defender. We can make it blue. As for my DPS, we can say Phoenix. And this Scorpion won't be my army forever, so I'll just put it like on the line. We'll click temp speed for the rest of the game. I think it's very powerful in a spot like this. And then we will get one more Phoenix. I did mention the Wasp plan, and I'm still interested in it, but it is on pause. because I've recognized that the right side attack is important. And I think getting the steel ball going over there is really strong. So he takes energy shield on Phoenixes. That's really strong against the fact that I went into Phoenixes, but oof, not defending your tower there is really painful. You know, I still have a lot of steel balls left, and that's just going to take way too long for him to chew through. I didn't pay attention if he kept the other Scorpion or not, but I certainly see one over here. But yeah, this tempo is really big for us. I'm still really into that Wasp plan. I could just spam Phoenixes, you know, sort of like win the Phoenix arms race. I think that's completely viable. So let me think about that. Let's see what the cards are here. We've got a really nice spell. Absorption Module is like okay on balls, but because he has such high DPS, I actually don't quite value kind of like decent HP as much. So we'll take the spell. I'm going to hold down R here, rotate the camera. Really helps with placing spells. You see he did keep the second Scorp, so no sell for him. I think he sold something else maybe, like the Farseer and then something else. And because everything's running to my ball flank, we can use that as sort of like helping to anchor the spell here. And of course, he can cast the spell as well. So, you know, there's always the question of, do I sell? Do I beacon? I think, though, because we're so fast with temp speed and advanced power system, we're pretty fine. We can do, like, one missile just in case he, like, stalls me with something. And then we'll just zoom out of there. So it's time to think, do we go for that Wasp or not? I believe I do run Shield, which is quite important if you're going to use them as chaff. And so yeah, we'll try that. Let's go for 3 of them. That's 36 different Wasps. You click the shield. That's 72 shots that he needs to break through them with Phoenixes. Pretty tricky, right? I think they can come in pretty early. And yeah, we'll take the Phoenix levels. We're a little bit weak to like flanks, for example. So we'll do 1 missile on the left. That's just against an air cheese. You can see the Wraith damage, 30k. That's not bad, so I'll level the Wraith. A lot of missiles from my opponent. Not a bad move. Ooh, a vertical Ion. That's interesting. Looks like my Ion wasn't that good. Like, it was okay, but it could have been better. And yeah, tough to tell if we're doing so hot. I think his Ion may have gotten a little bit too many of my Wasp, unfortunately. So perhaps the spell a little bit better for him, or I could have placed it better. Wow, that missile. Looks like he's going to get the round here. And he knows that I'm in Wasp now, so question is, what does he do about it? He definitely should respond. I think the most likely thing he'll do is Mustangs. They're pretty good behind the tower. And so knowing that, of course, I could think about even more armored balls, for example, since that would really get the Mustang stuck. So looking at the cards here, my safety on the tower against Wasp Swarm's not perfect. The cards themselves are okay, like these two are pretty decent, just value-wise. My Wraith didn't do that good. Let's just go for the Wasp Swarm. You know, we've teched them, right? So they're pretty efficient. And we can defend our tower that I was worried about. So we'll just do it there, missile over here to kill that Wasp Swarm, and then say that our tower safety is good. So let's go for missiles up front just to clear any chaff. Because we're just trying to get the tower, right? Especially that right tower. I'm really interested in it. We can go for a missile interceptor just to like stop a sentry missile. And go for a crawler that keeps our balls alive. Just like that, I suppose. And yeah, I think we just spam some steel balls here. Because I'm predicting Mustangs, right? And then if we just keep them stuck and keep our Wasp alive, then we should be able to punch through. Round 7 is a good time to get those enhancements. Like, it's a bit late, if anything, so let's see how that does. So it goes for Fortress with anti-air. It is a nice move, rather expensive. The Wasp, though, still seem pretty unanswered. We'll see if we're able to punch through on the tower. Looks like the right tower, not really defended enough. We're getting both towers. And yeah, maybe a situation of not quite defending the right tower enough. I think his left side defense was fine. But, you know, you got to balance it, right? So I think that's what that came down to. Maybe not able to get into the forts as well, right? Like, forts are really good long-term, but answering shielded wasps like that with just a couple of forts with anti-air, maybe just not enough HP. But it's a nice recognition of him that he needed something serious, and it gives him like a nice long-term move. So it's good to see that he's aware of that line. And yeah, really not a bad line from him. All right, GG guys. This has been Wonderboat with the Mag 1 Community Clinic. Thanks for watching.